Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 25th of June 2025. I want to offer my prostrations, Anantakoti Namaskar, to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti, and to continue from yesterday, there are several points I want to make a little bit more clear because it can be very confusing, particularly about the link between Bhakti and Vairagya. You know, this word Vairagya is a scary word to a lot of people. My God, Vairagya ho gaya, now everything is meaningless, useless, running away somewhere. That is not at all the meaning of Vairagya. The word Vairagya is made out of these two parts, Vai plus Raga. The Rag means this internal force of attraction, repulsion. So there are two forces inside our brain, inside our mind, that the Gita talks about, that the scriptures talk about, that is in our experience. That is called Raga, and on the continuum, Dvesha. Right? Dvesha means dislike, not wanting that experience. It is discord, disagreements with negativity. Raga and Dvesha are on the continuum. They're on a continuum, an emotional and mental continuum. It's a big subject, no doubt. The word Vairagya means beyond attachment and detachment. Vairagya doesn't mean detachment. People think that's what it means. That is wrong. That is completely wrong. Vairagya does not mean detachment, and it doesn't mean attachment also. It is beyond the continuum, beyond the polarity of attachment and detachment. That is called Vairagya. Now the question will become, what in the world is that? You see, so yesterday, for example, one of the points that I've mentioned over time is to not be stuck with any experience, any person, anything in this world except Bhagavan. Bhagwan or Bhagwan ke Sant, Bhagwan ke jo bhakt hai, and also the reason for that, saints and devotees, so that they are in alignment with God, Bhagwan. That's why. So not to be stuck with anything else. Alright? So if we are not stuck with anything else, then all that simply means is that there is no binding that is happening in the interaction. That is Vairagya. Vairagya is different from the word Tyaga. Tyaga. Tyaga means relinquishing the experience. That also has meaning and importance in sadhana. Definitely. For example, I'll give you some examples to try to understand this, and then we'll connect it with Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti in just a moment here. Let's just say Sachin here likes to drink coffee. Right? Certain kind of coffee. I'm drinking 2 or 3. Let's say I'm drinking 3 cups of coffee a day. And then I decide I'm letting coffee go for the next 6 months. No coffee for the next 6 months. What is that? Is that Vairagya? No. That is Tyaga. Tyaga means relinquishing through some regulatory principle the experience. That is called niyam. Niyam means to regulate the experience itself. It has benefit, no doubt. One would have to decide what that would be. So the relinquishing of the coffee for 6 months is called Tyaga. But after 6 months goes away, I start drinking it again. The experience is there, and it goes on. Now, does it mean that Vairagya has come about because of that Tyaga? Most likely no. Usually Tyag doesn't lead to Vairagya. That is the hope. Maybe it can, but in most cases it creates a reaction inside. That because you haven't worked on transmuting the desire for the object. Right? So that internal transmutation of the desire for the object is not the suppression of the desire, not the destruction of the desire. It is taking the desire into a different modality altogether. And that is where this bhakti comes into the picture. Right? So one of the equations would be bhakti plus tyaga, limited amount of tyaga, equals sustained vairagya. It's a very interesting point. Because just because I left the coffee for 6 months, the coffee has not left me. It will live inside. It will show up in the dreams. It will show up at nighttime. It will show up at any time. It happens sometimes. You may have had those dreams. You leave something for a long time, and then it shows up at dreams. So your mind pulls up the memories in the Sukshma Sharira, and it begins to enjoy that experience that you are denying it during the daytime. Isn't that true? Haven't we had those experiences? So now the fact becomes, what do we do with the desire for the coffee? This is just an example. It could be anything at all. It could be people, places, individuals, children, grandchildren, relatives, parents, grandparents. It could be politicians. It could be anything, XYZ, absolutely anything in our anubhav that we can be stuck in. Right? So the question becomes, how can we remain unstuck? Is that possible? To interact with the situation, circumstances, people without removing or without moving away from natural freedom? Is it possible to do that even? And the answer is yes, it is possible. But this is a kind of subject that is difficult to understand in short time. We have to really slowly break it apart so we can see the relationship between tyaga, vairagya and bhakti, how they are related in terms of jivan mukti. Because there's a lot of confusion in the whole Sanatan Dharma about these concepts. And plus particularly you've got all of those individuals wearing this saffron clothes and white clothes and different tilaks, and they're in different temples and in whatever the externalities, and people are afraid, families get afraid that their children will become a sadhu or run away from the sansar or go into some Himalaya. None of that has anything to do with spirituality, by the way. All of those are external sadhanas. Just because somebody does that doesn't mean you're a spiritual person. Those are external things. You may not do any of them and be enlightened. So that has absolutely nothing to do at all with spiritual realization. The only thing it does, it is a sadhana that can help in the path. But just doing that is not spiritual realization. For example, there's a mala in my neck right now. There's a kanti in my neck. There's a tilak on my forehead. Does that mean because I have that I'm enlightened? No. That's just a symbol. There is a sadhana. It has importance, a lot of importance. But doing those things, external things, doesn't necessarily lead to vairagya. Including joining a religious organization or, not seeing family members for a long time. You could do all of that. But that doesn't mean you have vairagya. You see, so vairagya is a totally different dimension. So let's see if we can slowly and clearly break it up and try to understand it, analyze it. I'm just going to use that coffee example, and you can universalize that to everything else in life. First of all, let's say for example, I've never had coffee, hypothetically. I put it in my mouth. I drink the coffee. I say, I like it. There's an experience. That experience is called qualia, Qualia, in philosophy. This is a mystery, where this comes from. Right? So the smell of coffee, the color of coffee, the taste of it, the feel of the mug, this is called qualia. It is subjective, first-person experience. Nobody in philosophy or psychology or neurology knows where this comes from. So this is the very first question. Is there experience? Yes. Are we giving language to the experience? Yes. Is the language the same as the experience? No. Not at all. Sachin can describe the experience, but the description is not the described. This is one of the statements made by J. Krishnamurti. Let's be very clear about this, then we will see how it links into Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti, because there's a lot of confusion about this. So first of all, there is Anubhav. Now that Anubhav, where does it come from? Why is it even there? Why do we experience anything at all? Nobody has any answer to this question. Vedanta does. There are answers in our scriptures. But those are very complex and difficult answers. For our purposes, we need to make it very simple and straightforward. That there is experience. What happens in our brain when we drink a cup of coffee? There is the ingestion of the chemicals that go into the brain, and it's a stimulant. It awakens the mind further. It stimulates certain nerves in the brain. It makes us more awake, let's say. All right, so that's an experience. All right. So that experience is going to go into memories. That the full experience of drinking the cup of coffee, the color, the taste, the feel, the kind of mug we're using, then the smell of it, the drinking of it, that entire anubhav, it is called indriya ka anubhav. It is a sense experience. That experience is recorded inside the chitta. So antakarana is man, buddhi, chit, ahankara. In the chitta, this experience is recorded. And it is recorded in connection with the aham jivam granthi. That I am this physical body, this mind, and this experience has become, there's a oneness with that experience. So that experience is held inside. All right. Now, as time goes on, 2 days go by, my mind pulls up that experience again. Because it's stored in memory. It's not that I want coffee, I want the experience the coffee gives me. Nobody wants any object actually. It's the experience triggered by the object. I hope this is clear. If I say I want a cup of coffee, it's wrong. It's not that I want a cup of coffee. I want the full experience available to me through the cup of coffee. That is accurate. To say I want a cup of coffee is totally inaccurate. So now the anubhav that I'm getting from it, now here's where the interesting part is. Am I, or is this being who is a conscious being, is that being free in the anubhav and due to the anubhav? We have to go very slowly. Otherwise, we cannot really reach Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti. We need to understand all this basic stuff. Am I free in that? Is there freedom in that? What would that be, that freedom anyway? This is where the Gita answers these questions. Bhagavan Krishna Paramatma kya kehte? What does he say? Rag dvesha viyuktaistu vishyan indriyaicharan atma vaishyair vide atma prasadam adhigacchati. So the raga and dvesha, is that present in the cup of coffee? Is it present in the cup of coffee that I'm drinking? Well, isn't there an experience that, this is nice. I put in 2 packets of sugar, I put in some Splenda, or I put in, the vanilla cream, or I put in the cream. I try different things, and I like this. This is nice. Isn't it so? Isn't it with everything we eat? Just take food, for example. Don't we make it so that we can enjoy it? Well, what is that enjoyment? It's experience. It's this type of, it's anubhav. All right? That enjoyment is there. We make it the way we want because of the kind of qualitative subjective experience we're getting from the way that object is made and interacting with our senses. That's the way it goes. All of life experiences like that, and those experiences are on a range. It is called Uttam, Madhyam, Kanishta. Vishaya ka anubhav 3 category mein hai. And it's not really category, it is a continuum that has 3 points. So for example, if I go to a so-called high-class restaurant and order a cup of coffee, it might cost $7. Because of the very nice fancy mug, the environment of the restaurant, the comfort of the chair, the ambiance, and so many factors are in there. Every dish is going to be expensive. Why? Because of the qualitative experience that is provided to us by the environment, by the object, by the cup. It's a fancy cup, and the quality of the coffee is also very, very high quality, etc. It's made in a certain way. So it costs $7 a cup. If you go to McDonald's, it'll cost you $1.50. Maybe it's the same coffee, maybe very similar, but the whole experience is different. This is called Uttama Vishaya. Uttama means highest category of anubhav. Why do people go to Alaska, Hawaii? They go to different natural locations. They live in multi-million-dollar homes, and because of the anubhav. Isn't it so? We cannot deny this. This is there. This is part of the material world. There's no point in denying this. This is what everybody wants. Each human being wants the highest level of anubhav. With everything, with all of the 5 senses, with all objects. We want luxury cars, fancy clothing, high-class living, lot of position, status, lot of money, highest quality experiences. Everybody wants that, almost. Who doesn't want that? I want to find somebody who doesn't want this. We can never even think about Vairagya or Akhanda Bhakti until this is understood. There's no chance of ever realizing God until we can understand these points first. Is it true or not that we want every single human being in their heart wants these things? Who doesn't want these things? I want to find somebody who doesn't. Want to be very attractive, physically very, very attractive. Yes. How many girls are competing for the Miss, whatever it's called, Miss Universe and all that stuff? How much competition there is? In every domain, each person wants the highest experience. I want to be the vice president. I want to be the president of this company. I want to be this. It just goes on because of the experience it provides. We cannot deny this fact. It is absolutely there. There's no question about that. And the entire economy is based on this principle. To keep enhancing the experiences. All you have to do is go to a grocery store. How many varieties of ketchup are there? How many varieties of bread are there? How many varieties of paper napkins are there? Countless. It just goes on and on. They keep expanding and expanding. Different varieties, different flavors, how many varieties of sodas and and 0-calorie drinks. And what is it doing? It is enhancing anubhav. Yes. This is at the domain of the material world. This is bhautik jagat. Absolutely. We cannot deny this. Now, the question will become, why not just go after this? This is called hedonism. You can look it up. Headonism. Hedonism is the pursuit of this highest category of experience further and further and further. Pleasure, 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 pleasure. Enjoyment, enjoyment, enjoyment. That's it. That's the only goal of life. Okay? if somebody has decided, I have personally met individuals who have clearly told me that is what they want. So my response clearly to them, go for it. Don't bother with anything else, because you're not ready for anything else. You have to go through that and see what that gives you. What else is there to say? Bhagwan Krishna swayam ye baat kehte. Sachin is not telling anybody anything. He uses strong language, Bhagwan Krishna. He says, do not disturb the small-minded fools. This is the actual verse. All of these people who are doing this, their buddhi has shrunk to a very limited buddhi. This is what Bhagwan Krishna says. If you don't agree with it, you can argue with him. Now somebody will say, wait a minute, I don't agree with that. Okay, don't agree with it. Continue. And you'll see what happens. You try to expand that highest category, that intense experience. Keep trying to expand it further. The problem in that experience is that it creates saturation. There is no way to open the doorway by enhancing more and more material experiences, to open the doorway into anandam. Nahi hota. Sorry. Cannot happen. It has never happened. It will never happen. If that was the case, millions of people would have realized God long time back. Or people now would realize it. Just by increasing sense gratification. But this is where the ahankar that is attached to the Atma, the Jivatma, is mistakenly stuck inside this pursuit of this highest category experience, thinking that anubhav is going to open the doorway into unending bliss. Yes, the search is for ananda in the wrong place. Who understands this? Out of the 8.4 billion people alive right now, what is the percentage of people who even understand this concept? Who understand this truth? Who can say that this is actually the case? Who can acknowledge this point? Even intellectually, somebody might say, yeah, I agree with that. Internally, there is not agreement with that. Sorry. Bhagwan to sapna mein bhi nahi milegi for all these people. Not now, not in a billion years from now, until these points are clear. They have to be absolutely clear. That is why Shankaracharya ji says, Rute Gnana Namuktihi. It has to be absolutely clear that expanding the experiences of the senses, better homes and bigger homes and higher quality sense experiences and all that thing that is there in every domain, just by expanding it further, getting private jets and having big social circles and being in high class society and drinking fancy drinks and buying a really expensive alcohol bottles and all that kind of stuff cannot ever open the doorway into the Atman or Paramatma or into Ananda. Do we accept this point? Bhakti ki to baat bahut aage ki baat hai. Is this even accepted inside? Is it even recognized that that is so? It requires meditation. It requires dhyan. It requires contemplation. It requires sitting silently and examining these ideas carefully, very carefully, step by step by step by step. This is called a type of research. It is a research into our experience. And until we do this research, we cannot understand what is Vairagya. Right? So for today, the very simple sadhana for today, ask from the heart, not just from the brain here. Ask from the heart, what do I want? From these highest category experiences, do I want them? And if I want them, what am I doing for that? People burn their entire life away for this. And then they die. They literally burn their mind. Everything is burned away for this highest category experience. What a person doesn't do. Like the sexual experience, for example. मनुष्य क्या नहीं करता इसके लिए, विचार कीजिए. लोभ, पैसे के लिए क्या नहीं करता. You see, the examples are millions of examples. And to be out of that is a whole different dimension. वो तो एक that is a totally, completely evolved state. But most human beings are dying for these three things. Kam, Krodh, Lobh. The experiences that are present, better quality experiences. Yes, better positions, higher, whole sansar is like this, A to Z. The power of Maya is so intense that it drowns the Jivatma inside this. This is why Akhanda Satsang is needed, continuous Satsang is needed to awaken out of this mesmerized state. Vivekananda Swami was asked, do you hypnotize people? Because he was so popular. He says, I don't hypnotize people, I de-hypnotize people. They're already hypnotized inside this sansar. Vairagya ki baat, difficult baat hai samajhne ke liye. Now, one more point and we'll close for today. That as we are moving through the day-to-day experience, there is the natural ananda that opens up in Ātma-Nivedanam. The Ātma-Nivedanam, as we were talking about yesterday, it is where there is love-based steadiness that transcends both elation and despair. You see this point here? It's a very critical point. This is our second sadhana for today. We are keeping track of some of these things. Love-based steadiness. How beautiful is this? Kitni sundar baat hai ye. Then you don't have to be running after the 1,000 objects outside thinking that will make me happy. The steadiness inside with love, this is where bhakti, when it reaches Ātma-Nivedanam, naturally brings about vairagya. And this transcending elation and despair, that is vairagya. Transcending meaning going beyond elation and despair. Sometimes we're so elated and so happy and on top of the world, and then we're just down on the ground all the way. This fluctuation of emotion, thought, fluctuation of experience, elation and despair, harsha shoka in Bhagavad Gita, this stops. Does it mean we're not enjoying? You see, people don't understand this. In fact, life is enjoyed in its fullest when this polarity stops. And that is where love comes into the picture, into our mind, into our senses. And that prema bhakti, that divine love for God, then that connects with every single human being, every single person, every single thing. That, and in that connection with all around us, that connection with everybody in pure love is vairagya. I don't know if you ever heard that kind of definition or not. We think of vairagya as running away somewhere. No, that is not vairagya. Vairagya is beyond the polarities of despair and elation, where love is so powerfully active that prema, that absolute undiluted whole love is interacting with each person and in each situation, each circumstance, and in doing so, that brings about natural vairagya. That is prema bhakti, Ātma-Nivedana bhakti, plus material interactions equals vairagya. That's a definition. That's the equation. Let's stop here for now. There's a lot more to say about this. We'll go into it further. Remainder next several days. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambake Gauri Narayani Namostate Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samsita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Swaha Om Aim Brim Klim Chamundaye Viche Swaha Om Durge Durge Rakshini Tata Swaha Om Shri Durga Arpanamastu Om Hrim Swaha Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Hrim Namaha.